All right, guys, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 3 of the Midfield 4 podcast. Today, we're going to be going through sort of all the big stories from the first week of top 5 league football, talking about the best performers, the worst performers, should teams really be concerned after a bad start, teams that surprised us, etc., and much more. I'll introduce my other two co-hosts. Demil still isn't with us, unfortunately. I think he'll be missing this one and next week, and then he's back, so you'll be glad to know he'll be back on your screen soon. Tay, how you doing?
I'm not doing too bad. Too bad. Thanks.
Good. Matt, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good. I think you're all the happiest based on the last weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, not
So
wrong.
we can dive straight into that. Obviously, Arsenal kicked off the Premier League season with a very tough fixture, but navigated it really well, especially in the first half. Thought they played some great football, and second half wasn't as good, but you still managed to withstand everything that Palace threw at you, and then managed to get the second goal near the end. So, what were your thoughts on the game? Very promising start.
I thought we started really, really well. I thought Jesus inside 3 minutes, that run was brilliant. And in general, I thought we were just very, very convincing, made the fixture look pretty easy in the first 30 odd minutes. But it can't always be as simple as, it seems. Obviously, took the lead from that Martinelli header. And I think for me, it was the very first time Ramsdale got closed down by Ayew, I want to say. Might have been Edouard, I'm not entirely sure there. And then the second time, I think it was Ayew once again, who chased him down and he took it past him. I think those two small things just gave Palace a bit of hope. And when you're coming to a ground like Selhurst Park, you don't want to give the fans any kind of hope. Because, the second I think the most important thing with any sort of away game, particularly a Forest, a Newcastle, a Palace, etc., is you can't allow the crowd to be right in your faces after the first few minutes. They'll try to get onto you instantly, but you want to get the crowd down, and that's key, really, because then you dictate the game, control the game as we did. And yeah, after that point, though, after about 35 minutes or so of dominance, I think we looked a bit suspect at times. I want to give credit to Joachim Andersen for Palace because he was absolutely sensational. The diagonals were very Van Dijk-esque, and he was hitting them pinpoint every single time. And I think there was a clear targeting of Zinchenko there when his first game for the club, really, in the Premier League, and obviously being pretty tired, looked a bit leggy too, and I think Palace knew that and took full advantage of that. So I think the subs should have come a bit earlier, but ultimately I think the subs were really important with Tierney and Nketiah, who played a big part in the second goal too. But yeah, ultimately it's not too different of an away performance from what I've seen last season, in the sense of we'll have a great period of the game where we're really, really good. And then we'll also have a period of the game where we're under the cosh a bit, and we've kind of just got to withstand the pressure. And I think that's kind of the nature of away games, unless if you're a City, or pretty much just a City and Liverpool most of the time too. But I don't see a reason why we can't have that level up to be where we're in control of far more of the game than, just a 30-minute period. Obviously, I think what we had last Friday was the maximum we could reach last season in terms of an away game. We'd have a really dominant spell, and then we'd have to withstand pressure quite a bit, and things would be a bit hurried. We kind of need that just sting taken out of the game. But I think this season we can definitely change that 30-minute period into a 50-minute period, or just keep control of the game. You watch City against West Ham, for example, who we'll talk about later. I don't want to go off topic there or mention too early, but you watch them and they're just controlling the game, keeping it cool, and any sort of mistake they have is their own doing, not of, any sort of nervy periods. And I think that's what we can become, with time and such. But yeah, ultimately, great start to the season. Very happy with the 3 points, a place which I think people are definitely underestimating how hard it is to come to. And under the lights too, which, how that ended last season, obviously with some other circumstances. But yeah, massive win for us to kickstart the season. What do you boys think of it?
Yeah, I can't add much more to that. I thought we navigated the fixture really well, like I said. Palace will be more than fine this season. I'm sure they will take points off the so-called big teams at Selhurst Park. So to navigate that fixture as well as you did, especially opening game of the season, if you compare how you navigated that to how you played against Brentford last season on the opening day, it's a big task to play away, under the lights first game of the season. The world's watching. You navigated it really, really well. So, I think you're looking good this season, but I think Palace will be more than fine as well. Just a pretty tough start to the season for them fixture-wise. Obviously, going to Liverpool this weekend is not ideal either, but, they did show signs, good second half performance from them, and those aren't the games that are going to define their season, so I think they'll be all right.
You know what, as well? I was I didn't really speak about Palace at all. I thought I'd just mention as well. I was really, really impressed with them. That second half, they had a good 25 minutes of sustaining against us, and they should have scored. They had that Eze chance, one-on-one, brilliant save from Ramsdale, who ultimately kept us in the game at times, or kept us winning the game essentially. So fair play to him for that, really. And yeah, I was just very, very impressed with Palace, how they kept doing those stupidly accurate long balls with Joaquin Anderson. And yeah, I think they're definitely poised to have a great season. Particularly, they didn't really have much of a pre-season due to COVID regulations in Australia, their pre-season camp. So yeah.
So the second game of the weekend was at Craven Cottage, the early kick-off on the Saturday. Taves team Liverpool went to Fulham. First before we talk about Liverpool, I just want to say Fulham really impressed me in that game. I think their new signings really stood out. We spoke endlessly on this podcast about how good a signing João Palhinha is. I think he had a really, really good game. I think Alexander Mitrovic showed that he's a much better player than he was last time he was in the Premier League, and some of his forward play was absolutely fantastic. And for the most part as well, they were solid at the back, which they weren't really last time they were in the Premier League, and they've still got a few more signings to add to that. And very good performance for Fulham. I'll say they're probably the team that surprised me the most this weekend. So before we slander Liverpool, I'm sure Tay got a lot to say. Fulham, what do you think of them?
I've been thinking about this since the result. Well, what we today, Thursday. I've been thinking for days, what am I going to say? I still don't know. We just weren't good enough. And this has been happening too much over the course of the last few years, with in particular games. Like that game could have the first game of the season, Fulham away. We literally lose the season there. Do you know what I mean? Like, we lost the league by 1 point last year. And if this is where we lose it, first game of the season, I don't care if there's a promotion bounce and new players. That's not good enough. That is not a good enough excuse. And this is no discredit to Fulham. They deserve to beat us. We were absolutely terrible. But why this loyalties to these dead players like Henderson? He's not a good player. Thiago's out for 6 weeks now. We probably won't see him until Christmas. Well, you know what Thiago's like. It's like 4 weeks, and then he's just gone forever. And at the minute, he's our only good midfielder. Fabinho's been off it for a while. I don't know what else there is. I'm not gonna scream at the transfer market and need a midfielder, because I've said on here, you'll find me. I've said I don't necessarily think we needed a new midfielder, but at this point, it is ignorance, and I don't know. I saw an article today. It was how Liverpool sit back and put on Sky Sports News and watch the other team scrambling for their business. How is that a flex? Like, we're not above everyone else. Real Madrid are laughing at us, and we're not capitalising on it. Do you understand? Like, we're just not moving backwards, but we're letting other people catch up to us very quickly with this midfield. Okay, I don't want to say his name, but this Bellingham stuff, you know what? I hope we don't even sign him, so we just look like idiots, because it is ridiculous. We need about 4 midfielders anyway. Look, I like Henderson, club legends, but he can't play at this level anymore. Milner speaks for himself. I actually thought we improved when Milner came on the pitch, which probably says a lot about our performance. I mean, Elliott was decent when he came on, and I don't know why Darwin Nunez has had the pre-season he's had, which has been good. I don't care what you've read. And he's come in, scored, won a penalty in the Community Shield final just to get benched by Firmino. That makes no sense to me. Look at the way we play before and after he was on the pitch. He's an impact player. That's what he was there for. We had nothing until he came on the pitch going forward. I mean, XG will back me up on that as well. I think we had like less than 0.5 expected goals before he came on the pitch, and after it was nearly upwards of 3. So, says a lot. It's just, midfield not good. Fair play to Fulham though. Like I say, Sardine's top notch. Maybe Marcus Silva's not going to be the first one sacked, but definitely second. And just point at Mitrovic quickly. Yeah, he's like, I think people get the idea he was just a sluggish target man, but no, like, he's really up to his game since the last time he's been there, and I think he's going to cause many teams problems if this was any indication of what's to come, to be honest.
I mean, people were having a go at Trent for the goal, but I don't think many fullbacks would have actually.
Hard
to defend. What the most he could probably do is try and get fouled. But he was towering header.
There is a bit of a back post issue, but that wasn't one of the moments. Yeah. Like, he's a 6 foot through, massive Serbian man. Like, and then it is a contact sport. It's not a foul. I'm not even nowhere saying it's a foul, but you know, he's got his hands on him. Like, he's a big guy. You can't. If that was a centre half, then yeah, you'd throw him under the bus. But fullback, there's only so much you can do. But yeah, even their penalty was clumsy.
What do you think of that? Do you think it was the right decision?
Yeah, but it's probably right decision. But it was.
It's one of those, isn't it? It's never going to be overturned. If it wasn't given, it wouldn't be overturned either. And that's a conversation for another day, whether that's the right way to go about it.
It was soft, but I think that's given at both ends, you know. So what can you do? We shouldn't have put ourselves in the position for that to happen anyway. But yeah, it just feels like we're chasing everyone else after a single game. Like, the spirit.
Probably credit to Mitrovic as well with that penalty, even like his fast footwork for a big man that from Van Dijk off, I guess, and took the contact really.
It's not good enough.
But Nunes did make a good impact when he came on, to be fair. Like, he puts himself about a lot. And I know people are joking about he accidentally scored and accidentally assisted, but like, he might have got a bit lucky, especially with the assist, but that's just people reaching massively. Like, I thought he made a really, really good impact when he came on. He's obviously going to be a massive problem for defenders this season, and I'd be stunned if he doesn't start against Palace.
If he doesn't start against Palace, I'm a very calm person. I'm probably gonna lose it. Like that. If I see Henderson and Firmino, I'm gonna kick off. Like, I don't know how much longer I can watch it for.
Who would you start midfield then? Is Keita available at the moment?
I don't know. He was an illness, but I don't know. If you're gonna play Henderson, play him as a number 6. He's not a number 8. If Valdo have midfield against Palace, be Fabinho. Who even is there? We don't even have a midfield. Fabinho would play. I'll play Elliott as well. Play Elliott on the right hand side, and oh god, I don't care.
There isn't anyone, is there really?
No, there's no one. Thiago's the only player that can play on that left side.
Curtis Jones is injured. Takeaway from this result though, like, it's not a great result, but to lose him for like
it's all the time we've spent papering over cracks have been blown over in one game, and I think that's what's annoying me. It's more we have issues that we know we haven't addressed. We've known this for months, and yet here we are. I don't get it. But
yeah. So are you genuinely concerned because you were quite positive on the pre-season episode?
Yeah. I mean, I think we'll do all right, but.
You're not going to like drop out of top 2 or anything silly like that.
Well, yeah. I don't think we will.
It's not a season-defining result either. I get what you mean. If you do end up losing the title by 1 point, it will be a game you look at, but you'll be all right.
Yeah.
I know it's difficult not to overreact, as we'll notice when.
Of course. I love overreacting. Don't get me wrong, but I just can't look at this squad and think, yeah, this is everything. Like, there's not enough there for me. I think it's more. Do you know what has annoyed me the most? It's the top red fans who just, what would you have done if you supported us when, you know, we had Jay Spearing in midfield? I saw an article the other day that saying he could actually get minutes this season. I got bullied at school when we were seeing Spearing, Shelby. I can't do that again. So I don't know why they think it's just. Oh, it's new flashy. I do agree there is an element of new flashy toy and like with signings and stuff. But this has been a necessity for years. We've never had a good midfield. And I'm not putting that down to financing because we have spent a lot of money, you know, because thanks to Thiago, Keita, we spent a lot of money on who, you know, you never know what you're really going to get with him. But it has to be, if we want to go on and win titles, it has to be addressed. And it hasn't. So.
Would you rather because you did say last time that you'd rather they waited, do you think now is the time to?
No.
I don't think it'll happen. I think George Ford out with the Matheus Nunes deal.
Yeah, but I think that's like a fan fiction thing anyway. Yeah. It just seems to come from people, and then it seems like journos pick up on it after fans. It's one of them ones, but I don't see the difference between signing midfielders like a Barella or Bellingham type now and then next year, other than inviting more competition. I don't understand. But I guess if clubs aren't willing to sell, but we don't, like I say, it's not just, we need a Bellingham. Bellingham was going to win us the league. We need about 3 different midfielders, if you're asking.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's not just the one that's needed, is it? Even if you were to get Bellingham next summer, I still think the problems are still going to be there. I think Fabinho is a bit of a concern. Obviously, Henderson, I completely agree, is not overstayed his welcome, that he shouldn't be starting every game anymore.
No.
Thiago's made of glass. Like, need a couple more bodies in there, I think. But yeah. We'll round up the other 3 PMs quickly. Bournemouth, who we absolutely slandered a couple of weeks ago massively, managed to beat Villa, who we also absolutely slandered last week. So it was the TM slander derby there. But Bournemouth come out on top, and fair play to them. Obviously, a home fixture to start the season is ideal, but to get that result is brilliant. I didn't watch the whole game, but it looks like they put in a really, really good performance, and I was happy for Kiefer Moore to score, to be fair. Like, a striker who's been really good in the Championship over the years, and this is his first stint in the Prem, and to get a goal in his first game is fantastic. And obviously they've got the mammoth task of going to Manchester City this weekend, but that was a massive result for them straight away to get off the mark. Leeds also off the mark. Bit of egg on my face after I predicted them to go down. I'm not going to change that just yet, but very, very impressive performance, especially from the likes of Brendan Aronson. I thought he was fantastic, and to not get the goal was quite unlucky. I think it was given as an own goal in the end. But Wolves again, cause for concern. I think looks like they have completed the signing of Guedes, the forward. I think that's a good addition, but still think they need more. Definitely need a striker. They've been linked with a couple of names over the last week. I think Michy Batshuayi on loan. I think they could do a lot worse than that, just for extra, power up there. But again, I don't think Wolves will be anywhere near the drop. But an opening day loss doesn't surprise me at all. And if you looked at their bench, like we've been saying the whole summer, the only real senior players on there, I think, was Cody and one more. And obviously Cody's now gone to Everton, which again, I don't think is a terrible move because
weird one, man.
I don't know.
Confusing,
I quite like it.
I like it. I like it for Cody. I don't really like it for Wolves. I understand the system
at all, though.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I guess it makes sense. But why are you loaning out like a 30-year-old, like your captain? It's bizarre. Just either sell him and move on, or just
Is there an option?
Yeah.
I think it's. I was reading obligation.
It is an option, not an obligation. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
how weird! How weird.
Yeah, I get what you mean, but I don't think he'd played much this season, and they have got one position. They have got a fair few bodies in defence as well. They've still got Willy Bolly. They've still got Totti Gomez as well. They've got that Colombian centre back they bought last season who's still there.
Mosquera.
So, yeah, that's the one. So they actually have got a few bodies in there, but yeah, an opening day defeat didn't surprise me at all, and they definitely need more bodies in as well as Guedes, and they've already got a big game this week at Fulham home. It's not going to be easy, that. So
we talk about Mark Rocker real quick as well.
Yeah.
Pretend like I watched the game, but when you see a comp of a player, that's enough now. I really like just Leeds business in general, but yeah, I heard he had a really good game, so thought I'd just bring that up too.
They have been linked with Ismail Assar. I think some sources have played that one over the last couple of hours, but if they were to get him in, they've suddenly got really, really good attacking depth, like Brendan Aronson, Jack Harrison, Daniel James, Ismail Assar. That is pretty good depth. Still think they
Sinistera too. Well,
yeah, sorry, I forgot about him, obviously injured, but yeah, maybe a forward as well. I know we said last week about Joe Gelhardt, but I think did he even come on?
I think Bamford
he came on after Sam Greenwood. So obviously they don't know if they fancy him over Sam Greenwood or such, but an injury to Bamford and they would be in trouble again. So maybe that is an area they need to look into. But a great start for them. I'm not going to knee-jerk too much. I still think they're going to be down there, but a very, very promising start. A promising start for Newcastle as well, who got probably one of their easiest wins of the season against Nottingham Forest. I don't think it's too much for Forest to worry about, as they've still got a lot of business to be done. A lot of the signings didn't play in that game, and if you look at their team in a couple of months, I'm sure it'll look a lot different to the team that started at St James's Park. But
they're signing everyone.
Yeah, I know.
I love the signing of Fuller though. I think it's more or less done now.
Yeah,
I think that's a fantastic.
Here we go. Treatment has been activated, I think, and they've been linked with Emmanuel Dennis today as well, which I think could be a great buy as well.
Oh wow. Okay.
And
Gibbs with Alwar as well. Gibbs White, they've been apparently like 30 odd.
That's ludicrous.
Alwar they were linked with. Who knows?
I don't think we can just Forest yet. They're going to have to give it like a month or so and see how they end up getting on. But I wouldn't be too worried. But Newcastle's definitely showed their credentials as a team that I think could do well this season. That we all put them in the top 10. I think that's fully justified. And I think a fully fit Callum Wilson will score like 15 in that team. I really do. I think he's a brilliant striker, but whether he stays fit or not is another issue. Final 3 o'clock was Spurs against Southampton. Southampton, first of all, did not look great at all. They looked a bit lost out there, to be honest. And it is a tough game. I think we all predicted them to stay up, but they are going to struggle this season, 100%. Didn't look good at all. But as for Spurs, good start to the season. And I suppose it is a positive when they score 4 goals and none of them go to Son and Kane. But you'd expect them to win that game. So, yeah, solid start for them. Got their job.
Talking of Southampton, though, I saw a thing today I thought I'd just mention real quick is there was something about the players that they were surprised that Hassan Hüttl didn't get sacked in the summer. And the thing is that I didn't think, I think I played down Hassan Hüttl getting sacked last episode when we were talking about it. Because I kind of thought, when you're investing quite a lot of money, you presume it is, in favour of giving the manager what he wants and backing him long term, even though, I don't disagree with getting rid of him at all. But maybe it's just a general project to the club and they have a good plan in place, because the first manager of the season to be sacked contender, probably he's probably right up there, to be honest.
That's not good if the players thought he was going to go. But yeah, job done for Spurs. I mean, previous seasons they probably wouldn't have won their first game as comfortably as they are, but again, it doesn't change much. We expected them to win. Final game on Saturday, Chelsea got off to a winning start. As much as it wasn't a great performance,
Chelsea fashion.
Yeah, Goodison is still a tough place to go, no matter how poor Everton are, especially with the fans getting up for the first game. And, you know, slightly positive signs for Everton. Obviously, still got 2 or 3 signings come in that didn't play that game. And Anana's fully done now. Cody's fully done. Just Garner Gay looks like he's coming back as well. I think they're all very, very good additions. And I'm slightly more optimistic about them than I was when I predicted them just to stay up. But they're certainly still going to be down there. But they did show a bit of life in that game. But it's blatant that they needed to sign a striker. So
they've been linked with Arman Brohan loan and Shea Adams on loan, I think.
Yeah,
and Kamara from Leipzig in midfield as well, which would be a great signing from what I've heard.
Yeah, I saw Shea Adams being linked away. That's detrimental for Southampton if that happens, mind. Like, but
I think I read they put him up for sale or are willing to listen to offers for him.
Yeah, I saw something like that. Pretty surprising, to be honest.
You'd be raging as a fan, wouldn't you? In that case.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I can only go through the people I know that are Southampton fans, but I just think they think they're all rubbish. Like, I don't think they think he own a good striker, you know. But you know, from an outsider's point of view, I'd definitely argue that Adams is the best and the most, you know, most well-rounded. But who knows? Who knows? It does seem bizarre unless they bring someone else in. But you know, if Southampton go and replace him with Liam Delap, then that's them, I think. Which wouldn't surprise me.
What, that's good or?
No.
Yeah,
it's just buying more kids, but
that
wouldn't surprise me.
I think the thing is with their age profile, which you probably didn't speak about last episode, is it's great, you know, profiling for the future and stuff. But I think they've taken that next step too young, which could potentially mean they easily go down. Because, you know, there's a difference between signing 20, 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds, 23-year-olds, and signing 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds who have hardly played before, like for most of your signings.
They would have a phenomenal championship side, but they do need to build for it now as well as the future. So yeah,
Wonder Kids 11.
Slightly concerning for them, but yeah, Everton, if they get a striker in, I think they might be all right this season. I really like the signing of Anana, and their midfield is fully like transformed now with those 2 players coming in.
Alex Iwobi in the 8 as well.
Yeah. They had like no legs in midfield in last season, like Tom Davies and that Andre Gomez. Now that you've got Idrissa Gana Gueye coming in, I love that signing. Nana, like you say, Iwobi's like transformed himself a bit. Like they've actually
he played well on Saturday, and he's been phenomenal since he moved into midfield. That's one thing Lampard has just got spot on.
Just a shout out as well to Patterson. I thought he was really, really tidy for his first start in the Premier League. I think he's like 18.
Yeah, I've been talking how he didn't really get a game last year because they bought him.
He was injured. He was injured, wasn't he?
I thought he was the under 23s at some point.
Well, yeah, he injured his ankle and he was playing for the 23s after, but he's never match fit. I've been telling people about Nathan Patterson. He's going to be nice.
That is a position that they do certainly need to look to upgrade. As good of a servant as Seamus Coleman's been, he's definitely on a decline. But Chelsea, what anything to comment on them? I mean, they did well to grind out the result, but the performance wasn't the best. And again, you're going to have to ask us the same question at the end of the window because who knows who they're going to bring in.
I mean, ultimately... Oh, yeah, sorry, you finished, yeah.
I just said it's a bit confusing at the minute, like their chances, etc.
So with Chelsea, I mean, I think what you've got to remember is, you know, Goodison is one of their arch nemesis grounds. You know, whatever reason, they go there and they just drop points every single time. So I think starting off the season with a win at Goodison is incredibly important. But at the same time, they were incredibly unconvincing. In attack, they looked very, very lackluster. They definitely need another wing and another 9 as well. And obviously, that Koulibaly as well, pass to Chilwell was very good for the penalty. And Koulibaly, I was incredibly impressed with. I'm not surprised either because I think he's one of those players who's always been pressed out of a move, but is just unbelievably good. And I think that was probably one of my favourite signings this summer. In the whole of the Premier League, and I think he'll continue to thrive for Chelsea. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see more business they do because this is by no means to finish a Chelsea article, but of course they didn't look particularly convincing against Everton.
Yeah, I think that up front they looked quite light as well, which just backs up what we were saying a couple of weeks ago. But I think they are looking to bring in another forward. So again, definitely unfinished business there. So we'll see what they do. I wish we could skip this part, but we're going to have to talk about United, which it was a really, really depressing occasion, to be honest. I mean, as much as we all sort of knew that we were going to have some issues this season, the stadium was full of optimism before the game when Ten Hag walked out. You know, you felt a buzz back at the ground, but that was quite quickly distinguished by Brighton, who played really well in the first half, pressed us high, couldn't deal with it. I don't think Ten Hag got it necessarily right, leaving Fred on his own in midfield, and they would just bypass us every time with ease. And then you had Scott McTominay, who, you know, he has some qualities, but picking the ball up in the final third and trying to play nice passes certainly isn't one of those. And, you know, both the goals, not great defended at all. First goal, I don't really know who people didn't think people knew who they were marking. Second goal, again, cut open far too easily. And despite getting a goal back, I don't think we were ever going to score again. We really didn't threaten at all. I mean, Rashford had 2 half chances, but what can you do? We need to be creating more than that in that sort of game. And it did give everyone a bit of a wake-up call if we didn't already have one. I mean, obviously, we did know that work needed to be done. I've said on this podcast many times that the 3 signings we've made so far haven't been enough. But that game really did show how much trouble we're really in for me. And like I said earlier, I don't want to overreact too much, but I think it's justified. I think if we play like that, I mean, if we sign no more players, we're not getting 6th. Like, there's no way, no chance. Like, Brentford on Saturday. Brentford are probably a better team than us at the minute. And it's going to take a while for Ten Hag to implement his style and system. And, you know, he hasn't got enough players for that so far, for sure. And the players that we were linked with in the aftermath of that result was, quite frankly, laughable. I mean, the Arnautovic links have died down, supposedly due to fan complaints, which is fully justified. Not only is he a terrible footballer, that might be harsh, but he's certainly not what we need. He's also got a lot of allegations flying above his head, which we certainly don't want. Rabiot as well is just a ridiculously strange one. So he's supposedly been on the list the whole time. Maybe they just briefed it just to try and.
Can I just ask a question, right? When you said that, you know, they've gone away from the Arnautovic deal because the fans aren't happy. What were they realistically expecting? Targeting a 33-year-old player at Bologna who was in the Premier League, wasn't a massive hit, you know, like some world-class player or anything, isn't an amazing player at all Man United level, let alone Premier League level, and obviously has some suspect other backgrounds. What were they expecting United fans to like be jubilating? Like,
they obviously live in a bit of cuckoo land, to be honest. But we have been linked with a couple of slightly better names. Apparently, if De Jong doesn't happen, we're going to look for Milinkovic-Savic, which I think would be a decent sign-in. Cody Gakpo is another one on the list, which I'd be happy with up top. And I can't pronounce the Austrian striker's name, the one from the Bundesliga.
Kalajiziak, I think it is.
But can't pronounce his name, I'll butcher it. But he looks quite promising as well, and he'd be a much better fit, I think, than Arnautovic would. But yeah, lots of work to be done, and we need more. We need more signings. I'd say we need 3 or 4 more to even compete this season. And whether that happens or not is yet to be seen. But the De Jong saga is dragging on way too long. We're expecting news this week, but I feel like we've heard that every week for forever. So, yeah, I'm pretty bored to talk about that now. But I would be happy with Milinkovic-Savic as an alternative. But whether United can wrap up that sort of deal in 3 weeks, which is pretty mental, but that's the way we run at the minute. But, yeah, really, really concerning. And maybe my 6th prediction was a bit optimistic going off that. Because we didn't even show any sort of signs. I know it's going to take time, but it was really, really flat. And if you'd told me that was Ralph Rangnick's United, I would have believed you. Well, I'm not blaming the manager at all. He obviously needs time. And that group of players, what you're going to get out of them anyway, pretty much. I'd say Eriksen looked all right. I thought Maguire looked all right. Other than that, all terrible. Every single one of them. And David De Gea can't play with his feet blatantly, like we all knew.
Sure.
You can't teach that man. I'm not talking about him anymore. I'm tired of it. Go on.
I thought Eriksen, when United brought on Ronaldo, where he actually went to midfield and wasn't playing this false 9 role, which I don't think he knew what he was doing. Once he went to midfield, some of the balls he was putting in was brilliant. One to Rashford, one other ball which was really good. And those were United's best chances of getting back into the game. And yeah, I thought he was really, really good. And him in midfield is 20 times better than playing as a 9, who would have thought.
Well, that goes without saying. But yeah, I'm slightly worried about Sancho, to be honest. He was like scarily bad. So he needs to sort it out. It's like he's scared to take on his man. I know you could argue that we're like misusing him, but just doesn't look like a threat at all. And obviously, like last season was the Bellingham season. I'm not going to say he ain't good enough because of one game at the start of this season, but certainly needs to up his game, as does Bruno Fernandes, who again looked very, very poor. Obviously, the midfield goes without saying, also shocking. Martinez had a shaky debut, looked good at times, but quite rash, which we knew he would be, to be fair. And I don't think the height was going to be a massive problem, but I think it just took him time to settle in. At least showed signs that very good on the ball, as expected. But yeah, fullbacks as well, terrible. So hopefully we can pick it up a little bit. But that's probably the worst performance of the weekend for definitely a big side anyway. And yeah, massive wake up call to everyone, hopefully. But
that's one of my issues with United though, like this season particularly, is I feel like their success is massively riding on players magically coming back to form, which can happen, but there's no guarantee it will either. So even with or without signings, depending on who they sign for the rest of the window, so I'm sure they'll sign a few more names, whoever that may be. Even if they do sign players, I think even that sixth spot, obviously we all had them nailed down as sixth last episode, I think. It's no guarantee at all, particularly with how strong the outsiders are looking, particularly West Ham, obviously we'll speak about a bit later. But those sort of sides, there's no reason they can't, close that sort of gap.
I mean, if it's not 4th, I don't care if it's 14th. Like, I'm not bothered 5th, 6th, 7th, whatever. Europa League, we don't need that. So I'm not too bothered about that. If it's not 4th, then I don't really care where we finish. I know that sounds ridiculous, but Europa League and such just really doesn't interest me at all. Not really looking forward to it this year, to be honest. But yeah, quick word on Brighton. As expected, they were fantastic. And Potter, despite having no first team signings yet this summer, obviously Dennis Undav come back, who came on for about a minute at the end, but I'm sure we'll see a bit more of him soon. But as expected, they pressed us well, really, really organised, dealt with us with ease, to be honest. I mean, they had the one mix-up for the goal, but like I said earlier, we were never going to score a second. Honestly, we could have been still there now. We wouldn't have scored a second, I'm convinced. But yeah, Potter is fantastic, and he shows every week how fantastic he is. And Brighton will be absolutely fine this season and can definitely push for top 10, I believe.
Caicedo is sensational.
Yeah,
honestly, I don't know whether it's just because every time he plays United, but the last 2 times he's played you boys, he's been the best player on the pitch.
Yeah,
like he's sensational. And another player you were linked with right before his time for Brighton, who would probably start in your midfield. Right?
Oh, 100%. And that's we're allergic to those sort of deals. I mean, it's easy to say in hindsight, but we were linked with Sesko for 3 million about 2 years ago and didn't do that. Obviously, if you sign every player at that price, not all of them are going to work out, but we don't seem capable of picking up these sort of coups. And Brighton saw the talent and bought him, and it's done well because he's a fantastic player. But yeah,
I thought it would be just quickly interesting as well, very quickly. But Lallana's interview, I don't know if you boys saw it, but I thought it was really, really interesting. And one of the things he did mention is that we kind of targeted like the new boy Martinez, and it also made me think, like, psychologically, to players seeing that, because obviously, being intimidated and stuff is a big factor. I feel like in the tunnel, these big sides, you're like, well, you don't want to play this sort of side. If you see a 5'9" centre back on the other side, do you have in your head that, yeah, we can bully him? And particularly with what Lallana said,
definitely.
Yeah,
I don't think that actually matters on the pitch too much, as long as the player's good enough, which I believe he is. But I think that you can go at any level of football. I don't know if you've played like any level of football, but that is literally their best player could be 5'3". Like, he could be like Messi on a Sunday League pitch, but everyone would say, yeah, go through him. But quickly on United as well, I also do think it is a mentality thing where teams know United are so bad. I know this is only first game of the season, but I definitely think teams do take it up a notch against them. 100%.
Oh, of course.
Not even because it's Manchester
United away is always the big one for a lot of teams, and they will up the game. But we should be able to deal with that.
Yeah, and this is the chance to go and essentially take a scalp of one of the biggest teams in England, the balance of biggest teams in the world. So.
Yeah, I swear.
It's just no fear factor, really, when you go to Old Trafford.
No chance. I mean, that was Brighton's first ever win at Old Trafford. I think we've given every single team their first ever win at Old Trafford in the last 10 years. I swear, like, every single time we lose at home, it's Brighton's first win at Old Trafford ever. It's Brentford's first win at Old Trafford ever. It's like we're giving teams new records every single week.
That Monday's busy.
Yeah, he is. But Brentford on Saturday, mate, if we lose that, going into that Liverpool home game, could easily be 3 games, no points, and then the pressure's already on the manager. So Saturday's a big game already. We need to get 3 points. Can't say I'm confident. But yeah, talking of Brentford, I was about to miss them out, but they also played on Sunday away at Leicester. I didn't get much of this game, or 6 hours at the United game, but I've seen the goals, and Leicester, they were 2-0 up, weren't they? And they threw it away. Obviously, we've spoke about our concerns about them before, but Brentford again, a point away at Leicester on the opening day is a positive result, and I think they just showed their credentials again on why they're a solid Premier League side. And again, I'm not going to say Leicester need to worry massively based on opening day home draw, but obviously not ideal for them. If they would have won the opening day, it would have took a lot of pressure off the team and put a lot of positivity in the fan base. But a draw, probably Brentford will be much happier with it. But yeah, Brentford showed why they will be at a force again this season, and they're going to be rocking for the visit of United on Saturday, which again, I'm not confident for. But don't think anyone wants to go to Brentford at the best of times. Never mind. I mean, Arsenal, Liverpool both didn't win there last year. I don't think we want to go there first game of the season. Fans are going to be up for it. We're rocking. Might not be pretty, but we'll see. We'll speak about that next week. Yeah, and then the final game of the weekend was at the London Stadium, where Erling Haaland got off to a perfect start at Man City, really, and he did what everyone expected him to do, really. We did predict him to score early 20s in the Prem. Not necessarily changing my prediction, because I think a lot of people are going way overboard saying he's going to score like 35. I think that's just a bit too far. But yeah, he did look really good. Obviously won the penalty for the first goal. The De Bruyne to Haaland link up for the second goal showed what a lot of people were expecting this season. It was a fantastic ball, and you know, it's not an easy finish, that, and he made it look very easy. And he showed that he will be a force to be reckoned with. And City are just that good that they just swept West Ham aside with ease. That's not an easy place to go. And again, similar to Arsenal, but they just swept them aside without even breaking a sweat, really. West Ham, I wouldn't be too worried about them. Obviously, Man City at home isn't a game that's going to turn their season, but City were brilliant.
No, I don't really have much else to say. That's the difference between City and the rest of the teams in the league. They can go somewhere where, you know, other even big six teams are turning those up. Admit that's not the easiest place to play, and they'll, you know, wipe them off the park. I think they had like 80% of the ball or something. That's disgusting. Like,
yeah, West Ham didn't even get a sniff, and
they made quite a few mistakes too, and they never looked at all vulnerable.
Yeah, it's crazy how good they are, and they're just getting better, which is scary. On a different note, do you see West Ham, what they've done with the away end? They've boxed it off. That stadium just gets worse by the year.
They boxed it off from the away fans.
Yeah, you can't see them, the away fans.
That just takes away so much atmosphere,
though. Yeah,
like, so strange. And the £7.50 pints in the away end as well isn't very pretty. So I don't think that'll be the most pleasant visit for away fans this season. But yeah, West Ham, I'm sure, again, like I said, will be fine. But great start for City. That is all for the Prem. Just want to talk briefly about the other leagues which kicked off this weekend. Bundesliga, start with Bayern, first game of the season, for finding up away at Frankfurt in the first half. I mean, it's just outrageous. Frankfurt, Europa League winners, and no mugs. And to be blown away like that is just astounding, to be honest. You'd be a brave man to bet against them winning the league again this season. But I think Mane scored on his debut, which is a good sign. I'm sure he'll slot in there brilliantly. Dortmund also won on opening weekend against Leverkusen. I think they've done some good business this summer, but we spoke about the Bundesliga on here before. It's just going to be so difficult for any sort of team to just close the gap on Bayern Munich, because I know it's spoke about to death, but as soon as any sort of decent player comes from Leipzig, Dortmund, etc., they just end up getting poached by Bayern Munich a lot of the time. And I just don't see how in the next 5-10 years, unless they have a freak season like Lille did in Ligue 1, for example, teams are just going to massively struggle to catch up with Bayern Munich. I don't know if there's any suggestions you have for how they would do that, but like it's just looking long for every other team. And like Dortmund are a fantastic team, Leverkusen are a fantastic team, Leipzig are a fantastic team, but they're just so far off it, and it's just becoming more monopolised by the year. I think it's more monopolised than Ligue 1 at this point, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
It's
definitely.
Yeah, it's getting ridiculous at this point. But talking of Ligue 1, PSG got off to a good start, winning away at Clermont-Foot. Was it 5-1, 5-0?
6-0, 5-0, one of the two.
I don't know. But just wanted to talk about their window in general. It looks like they're finally making smarter signings, Matt. I know you're a massive fan of the new dynamic at PSG. Do you think this is the year they can finally break their duck? Obviously, it's a bit early to say, but I feel like their transfer policy has improved massively this season.
Definitely. I think when you watch PSG last season, whether that be against a relegation fodder side or a top side or anyone, you're just not enjoying watching them. You should be. You're watching Messi, Mbappe, Neymar, Hakimi, Verratti, all these unbelievable footballers. But you're watching them, you're thinking, what is this team? What are they doing? You watch them this season, obviously, you know, not against the strongest of sides, but that three back, Galtier is a fantastic coach, one of the best appointments out there, I think, for PSG. And the signings they've made, I've just loved it. Like, you look at PSG's midfield, you look at a bunch of workhorses, very little creativity, very little ball carriers. You look at Verratti dependency. Now you look at PSG's midfield, you look at Vitinha, lovely signing, had a really tidy debut too. You look at Fabian Ruiz, have just signed, fantastic player, absolute steal in this market. And they signed one other midfield player. Renato, that's it. Injuries, not the most ideal, but his profile and when he's playing, he's a great player too. Then they signed Mukiel for 10 million. Absolutely nothing once again for a great a very competent player.
I think that the utility of him is going to be important. Obviously, he can fit in a centre back as well as right back, right wing back. I think you need those sort of players around the team. I think that's a really, really shrewd bit of business.
Absolutely, yeah. And then Ekitike, I mean, they saw an opportunity, a market opportunity, 30 odd million. Fair play once again. And I'm probably missing out one or two other names.
I think that is it.
Or is that it?
Yeah. As well, is on the verge of completion. But yeah, I like Ekitike. I think
a link to Rashford today.
That's an interesting one. I don't know if that's going to end up having any legs, but not really sure what to think of that. Obviously, it would be like devastating to see him go, obviously after all the high hopes we had, but he was another one that was just shocking on Sunday, sorry, and I don't think he's necessarily the profile that they really need to be targeting, but we'll see if that one materialises. If it does, we'll speak about it at a later date. But yeah, I think Ekitike is a good one as well, because as good as their front three is, other than Mbappe, the other two, Messi, Neymar, aren't getting any younger, and to add some more young talent in there who's got experience in the league, I'm sure he'll do fantastically well. Hopefully he gets enough game time, because it'd be a shame if he doesn't. Suppose the last thing we could talk about is the Champions League qualifiers, which went on this week. Set up some juicy ties for the final qualifying round. The standout one being PSV against Rangers. Rangers turned around their game brilliantly against the Belgian champions again. Not going to try and pronounce their name, but yeah, European nights at Ibrox are different, and to turn around a 2-0 lead against the Belgian champions to win 3-2, it's a fantastic achievement. And I assume if they do lose the PSV game, they will still drop into the Europa League. But to get two Scottish teams in the group stages would be brilliant for Scottish football. But PSV again are a top side. They knocked out Monaco over 2 legs. Obviously, they got the likes of Cody Gakpo, like we spoke about today. Sangare, who was a phenomenal midfielder, by the way, absolutely phenomenal. And to tie him down to a long-term deal was massive for them. Ruud van Nistelrooy in charge, which is an interesting one. But yeah, they've got Rangers in the last qualifying round. First leg is at Ibrox, which is a bit of a dampener for them, as obviously the second leg, the amount of times they turned it around in the second leg last year was phenomenal. And then we had the Super Cup, which we've all openly admitted we didn't watch, but as expected, Real Madrid got the win against Frankfurt. Real Madrid again are looking brilliant, and Benzema getting off the mark for the season again. He's aging like a fine wine, the worst cliche in football, but he really is. And I expect him to have another phenomenal season again. And he overtook Raul to become second in their Real Madrid's leading goal scorers ever. Thinking he's about another 120 to overtake Ronaldo, which I don't think he will. But another.
Never know at his rate, mate.
Yeah, true. Four more seasons of 30 goals. He will have to go until he's about 37, but you never know. Yeah, as expected, he's ploughing on, and we spoke about him a lot on this show. But we do think he's well up there as one of the best of his generation, especially his form over the most recent years. And if he had played as the main man his whole career, then who knows what could have happened. But he's showing no signs of slowing down. With Barcelona's troubles, I mean, I'll be surprised if Real Madrid didn't win La Liga again, especially if Barca actually can't register these players, which again is just absolutely mental. I think they've got about 7 players that they haven't registered, so it's all the new signings and all the new players that have signed new contracts, and La Liga starts this weekend. So again, a crazy situation. And now they're looking like they actually might be able to close a deal for Bernardo Silva, which I'd love to know where that money's coming from. But I think they're on the 4th lever now of financial help. Honestly, it's absolutely baffling. But I suppose they have strengthened this summer. What the effect will be for them long term, I don't know. But maybe they can close the gap with Real Madrid. But I think Real Madrid's team overall is a lot better set up. I mean, they've obviously got a clear way of playing. I think adding 5 or 6 players into this Barcelona team is going to take time to settle, and who knows what's going to happen with them in the next 5 or 10 years. But I guess we'll keep an eye. I don't know what team they're going to put out if they can't register these players by Saturday. But yeah, that is about all we've got time for. Slightly shorter one today, but I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Obviously, wrapping up all this week's football. We've got another round of fixtures this week where all the 5 leagues are back, so there'll be slightly more to talk about next week. But yeah, did this last week, but we'll do predictions for us 3 teams this week. Tay, you're home to Palace on Monday.
Yeah, we got to win that. 2-1 Liverpool.
Matt, you are home to Arsenal. Arsenal Leicester.
4-0.
You going?
Yep.
Yeah, that'll be good. 4-0 is very optimistic though, but it's a nice fixture for Arsenal to be fair, and 2 wins start the season would be good. As for us, I'm generally going to say a draw, because I'd be very, very surprised if we went and won that game. But fingers crossed, we might beat them 3 or 4-0 whenever, like I said last week, everything to be forgotten about. But I would be very surprised. But yeah, that is all we've got time for. Like I said, if you want to follow us on social media, you can at TM4Pod on Twitter, and then you can find all our other links there. Thanks for tuning in. As always, we really appreciate all the support we're getting, and we're loving recording these. So for the longer you guys listen, we will carry on throughout the whole season. Yeah, pleasure to speak to you boys as always, and we'll see you in the next one.